Go. Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Happy Wednesday. Listen, listen. Today, I would like to talk about the topic how to look for support when the world feels like absolutely crazy, not just heavy, absolutely crazy. Because, listen, um, I'm like almost 40 this year, and the only time I remember when it was this uncertain, um this crazy is when Soviet Union was collapsing. So I was born right before the Soviet Union collapsed, and I was like around 6 when it all happened. And like the level of the uncertainty, not necessarily exactly the same, but like kind of feels very similar. Kind of feels very similar. So, but it's essential to know how we find support for ourselves, how we find support in uncertain time. Because, listen, right now, right now, for me personally, I prioritize. I personally prioritize investing in the support for myself, investing in the support for myself because this is essential because I'm not right. I can really fully show up for my clients, my customers. So, and I'm sure like a lot of people feeling the same. A lot of people feeling the same, and this is what we're going to talk about. So as you joining me live, let me make sure that I am indeed live on LinkedIn. I am indeed live on everywhere, like everywhere else too. So say hello in the chat, and also if something resonates with you, drop it in the chat. Say hello in the comments in the chat. I would like to hear from you. And this time around, hopefully, I will be able to bring your, like, if you are watching me on YouTube or LinkedIn, I will be able to bring your comments and your thoughts on the screen. Share with it publicly. I share with the with the very stream. So now, the problem is when we're looking for a support that support it's important to, like, first of all, it's important to know what kind of support do you need, and rather than just like, hey, like, I need support, what kind of support do I need, what kind of support I desire in the season that I am at right now, what kind of support I desire, how do I like to be supported. And I don't know about you, there are a lot of providers and there are a lot of people that can support you. And by the way, this framework will help you to navigate finding support when it comes to coaching, when it comes to therapy, when it comes to a mentor, when it comes to a teacher, like anyone who can support you at any capacity. And this framework will something that I use and something that you can use to navigate this space. Because, like, I know people are looking for support right now, and I know that with when there is a lot of noise, when there are a lot of providers, like it can be challenging sometimes. So, like, the first question that I would ask, like, whenever I'm looking for support, whenever I'm looking for a coach, for example, or a therapist, most likely like either a mentor or a coach, or people who will work, or a person who will work with me, like one on one, or maybe in a small group capacity. I'm asking myself, um, what kind of support I need right now. How do I like to be supported? How do I like to be supported? And For me personally, and people are different. For me personally, it is always one-on-one support. I love having one-on-one support when I have undivided attention of my provider, whether it is a therapy, whether it is coaching, whether it is teaching, because I like the community, right? I like the community aspect, but also I like the personalization. How do you like to be supported? How do you like to be supported? So also, I would like to normalize what this one thing. We often think that we are looking for any kind of support, like any kind of coaching, mentorship, guidance when something is not working. And it is true, right? Like a lot of people in my audience are service providers, coaches, consultants, and people normally don't hire you when everything goes well. People hire you when they have a problem, and it's absolutely true, and it's absolutely normal. But I would like to normalize one thing. I would like to normalize one thing, and it's okay to be supported when everything goes well. It is okay to be supported when everything goes well. I remember I'm following a lot of therapists on Instagram, and there was a conversation that one of the providers said, "Hey, I go to therapy when everything is good. I go to therapy when everything is good," and the same for coaching. For me personally, I'm not necessarily looking for a coach when something is broken, when something is not working. I'm looking for this support when I'm looking for the support when I'm trying to solve the problem. I'm looking for the support when everything is good, because uh, support is a form of self-care. Like, I deserve to be supported. I deserve to be cared for. I deserve to hire support even when everything when everything is good, because this is because if we are locally looking for support when something is not working, we automatically drop into survival mode in our businesses, into survival mode in our lives. But if we normalize to be supported, uh, to be held, to be guided when everything is good. It's listen, it's like a health maintenance, right? I don't go to my doctor just like when everything is bad. I go to my doctor for my annual, or like I might go to functional medicine doctor, like when I am good to maintain my well-being. The same thing for mentorship. Like, I personally thrive on mentorship. I personally thrive on being in close proximity to the right person. This is the form of self-care. This is the form of support that I need. Now, I ask a series of questions when I'm looking for the support. I'm asking for a series of questions. Uh, now, the question number one I ask: do they share my values? Do they share my values? And by the way, if something resonates, where if you have questions, drop them in the chat. I know it's a little early. I normally do my streams either like at 7 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, or I do it at 6 o'clock in the evening. I normally don't do them in between. So, but like if you're here, if you're in the chat, say hello in the chat, and also like if you have questions, if something resonates, please let me know. And also, if you have questions, please let me know. Now, let's go back to question number one that I normally ask: do they have the same value? Listen, um, in this climate, like, I do care where you stand. I do care where my provider stands. I do care about their background, because there's a lot of noise. Because I've seen crazy things online. For example, and I'm not gonna drop any names, right? I'm not gonna defame anybody, like, I'm not that kind of person. But, like, one thing that I know, like, there were providers, there were coaches, there were, mentors, spiritual mentors that I respect, that I love, and that I followed, but then all of a sudden they would invite somebody to their podcast or somebody to their show who is absolutely not congruent with me. Like, for example, one of the spiritual coaches that I follow and I actually was considering like working with invited insurrectionist who was like at the White House on January 6th, January 7th. That was absolutely crazy. And that was a signal for me. Oh, like that's like I don't care how good you are, I don't care what you what you do, but our like if our values are not aligned. And listen, when it comes to the values, I personally don't have to agree with everything that my coach, my provider, or my mentor believes, but the core values, I believe they should be the same. And for me personally, when I work, majority of my clients who come to work with me historically, they are normally from marginalized communities, and they're either people of color, Black, and Latino entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, single moms, and they aren't directly affected by what's going on right now. And um, like where I stand, I do stand for equality. I do stand with them. I do stand for um, compassion, for empathy. That's where I stand for. Like I and that is essential for me to know when I'm, looking for a provider, I need to know their values, what they stand for. Now, uh, another question that I ask, is that person safe for me, to work with? Is that person safe for me to work with? Are they a safe person? Are they a safe person? Because again, and it kinda ties to the values because especially in one-on-one relationship, I don't wanna end up working, um, with a provider who, one-on-one support who, like, all of a sudden pulls MAGA hat on me, right? I wouldn't feel support because, I wouldn't feel supported because what that group stands for is not something that I stand for, right? And this is not where I would stand. Also, uh, I want to make sure that they are okay with me as a person as a whole. So, who am I, right? Because I have a very complex background. I am an immigrant. I'm gay. I'm a person of faith, like all of that. And if my provider is not supporting me in any of those areas or feels some type of way, that's probably not the provider for me. Do they feel safe? And this is what I'm looking for when I am looking for the provider. Do they feel safe for me, culturally, emotionally, spiritually? So, because also if as a person of faith, if they practice spiritual practice that I'm not aligned with, listen, and it's not necessarily that I won't hire a coach with a different religious beliefs. I'm totally open to work with people with different religious beliefs, but if our spiritual beliefs, our spiritual views absolutely 100% misaligned, for example, they do I don't know, crazy example, they implement in their practice like a voodoo practices, for example. Like this is not something that I do on regular basis, and this is something that I'm not personally reconcile as a person of faith. And that religion doesn't necessarily align with my with my spiritual views. So um another thing, when I'm looking for the support, it's not necessarily the tactics, it's not necessarily the strategy because at this point I'm kind of open for the strategies. I'm open for new ways to implement things. And here's the thing, any strategy can actually work really, really, really well. But the better question am I gonna be supported while I'm implementing those strategies? Am I going to be supported while while I'm implementing those strategies? Like that is absolutely like, uh, that is the question because what I don't want, I don't want to just be thrown at like for example at the course that I just have to like you just have to implement yourself. You just have to implement like you just do this and like and then there's that, right? I want to make sure that I have a provider who helps me to integrate because I went with my coaching practice. I I don't like, and there is a certain methodology that I follow, right? Like I do teach social selling. I do teach launch in a way that is very simple, leverages live streams, that leverages social media. I do, teach collaborations, but again, every single client who comes to work with me, they are different, and it's not necessarily about the methodology or strategy, it's about integration. And this is actually how I came up with the 5, marketer archetypes that people like people are very different. There are entrepreneurs, and there are I had clients who uh, were heavily relying on either referrals or networking events. I had a client who actually would absolutely thrive through conferences. Another client had an amazing podcast, amazing YouTube channel, and that was his strength. That was something that he was and that was something that he was implementing with. And for me as a coach, it's not about just hey, this is the only way like that you can implement this. And there's no other way you can be supported. So, and uh, that is essential because any strategy can work. But what I and the struggle that I normally find, that I personally normally face, whenever I have questions or resistance, how does that provider helps me with the resistance? Because the resistance is a normal part of the process. The resistance is normal part of the process. Also, do I feel seen by that provider? And I need to be seen, like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I need to be seen before the investment, before I pay. Before I pay. Do I feel seen, or do I feel like just another transaction in their coaching program? Like, are they giving me just generic ass advice and not necessarily guiding me through my challenges as they arise, as that as I face them. So, that like that's my main that's my main question. Do I feel seen by my coaches? Do I feel seen by that provider? And it kind of ties back to like how do they treat me? Do am I seeing their content? Am I like, and again, when it comes to like content creation, right, or like content from other providers, therapists, coaches, uh, we are not content creators, right? We're content marketers, and some people are better at marketing than others. I go a little bit deeper. I start communicating with those providers. I start communicating with those coaches, and if I don't get the respect, the attention, um, the the energy. And listen, when I say the respect, the attention, the energy, I'm not saying that they should coach me or give me advice or guide me before I pay. Like, this is not what I'm saying. It's like, how do they treat my questions? How do they treat me in their network when I'm sliding into the DMs, when I'm interacting with their content, when I'm interacting with them, because like I don't need to be, I don't want to be another number. Like this is like if you are in the network with me, like I like to get to know my community very personally. I know like chances are I sent you a direct message asking what you're working with. And it's not just a social selling technique, hey, like just figure out what problem they're having right now so you can help them to solve the problem. I genuinely care. I genuinely want to see my community because again, uh, this is why I started this business. Like, if I didn't want to care, I could have just had 9 to 5, and it probably would have been a lot easier, right? Like, just have 9 to 5, and I'd be happy with that. But like, this is I'll go deep. And again, your provider doesn't have to send you like a welcome message when you follow them or do anything crazy like that. But I will give you an example. I was interacting with one of the mentors, and I was considering hiring support for a particular platform, let's say. And the response that I got from that provider on another platform was like, "Oh, like I only work with people who have the money. Like my one-on-one support is very expensive, and not everybody can afford. So I normally work with the super profitable entrepreneurs, but you go ahead and join my club. Like this is not like this, how, bro. How do you know? Like how do you know how much money I make? Right? Like just because I have like 800 followers on Instagram and means that that I'm a broke entrepreneur, right? Like 'cause followers, numbers, they don't mean shit, right? Like that person made an assumption based on the number of followers I have and gave me a proper support. But there are ways to actually qualify your providers. Like you can absolutely, or like you qualify your providers and qualify your prospects. So like whenever I am in conversations with people, I never assume. Like there's certain like we go through the questions and like I ask certain questions. Hey, like where are you at in the business in the season of the business you're in? So like what does it look like? What does it like what does it look like? And people answer. And if people answer that they're not quite in a category that to work with me, I respectfully provide them the support and like the free resources or maybe more affordable resources for the at their level, so they can utilize them. Normally, it is just my podcast, it is my YouTube channel because if you consume my free content, you can get there, like you can get yourself to the place where you're selling, where you're attracting the right clients, when you are building the business that you actually love, just by following the podcast, following me, following my business lessons, spiritual lessons, mindset lessons on my YouTube channel and on my podcast. Listen, if you are in the place right now where you're evaluating the ways that you would like to be supported, the way you would like to get mentorship or guidance or coaching, I do have one-on-one coaching available. So, I do have couple of I do have a couple of containers. Like one container that I especially like is called Book and Sold Out, and it's 3 months intensive coaching support. So this is where this is specific, this is really good for entrepreneurs who would like to either get out of the plateau, like you're getting clients, but you're getting cash flow, but it's plateaued. Like you would like to see the growth, or you would like to gain the momentum. Also, also, it is really good for entrepreneurs. Let's say you have a team member who, like, you see that they're plateaued in social selling, in their social selling, in their in the way they support you, and you want them to skyrocket. Because again, at some point in our businesses, we need to hire people, we need to hire the right type of support, but we don't always have the time to coach them and lead them through our social selling process to make them sound like us, to understand our messaging. Because again, our messaging is not something that we can outsource to somebody else, but we can absolutely align them with our messaging. And but we all busy, we don't always have that. So if you're looking for a support for your team member, like I also work with your team members, your teams. I work one on one or on case by case basis. I can work with your entire team, as like as a dedicated group. I work with them like on a very personalized basis. So hey Jay, thank you so much for joining. So now, like what I like to do, I like to show the comments. So and I'm using Restream, so like that platform can do that. Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining. So also I do have a few minutes, and I do have to run a line for Q&A. So let me know what questions do you have, and also um, if you are like ever been looking for a support, uh, what ways you would like like you are looking for the support. Maybe there are specific questions that you are asking when you're looking for the support, right? Like if I provided like this whole live stream, I provided the questions that I normally ask. How do I qualify them? And like when we're looking for the support, it's not just a surface level support, or have they done it themselves? Do they have qualifications? Because at this point, listen, there's a lot of noise, and I would say a lot of providers. Yeah, absolutely there are providers who don't know what they're talking about, but it's not that. Like I'm talking about how do I qualify qualified providers? How do I qualify already qualified providers? That is essential for me. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Like, happy to see you all, and I will see you on the internet streets. Catch me on Instagram. Catch me on LinkedIn.